Right. If you're taking a break, take a break while you're listening to me, so I can get going. All right. So I'm going to be presenting a little overview of the review course, which is the second. As far as I understand it, the students will do this course as part of the second step in the languaging curriculum. So let me just start by talking about reviews in general. Reviews currently are a big part of our daily life, and they're actually form part of the algorithms that control how searches work on Google. And just about everywhere you go now, people will ask you to rate and review. If you listen to podcasts, you'll get people asking on the podcast, please rate and review the podcast. When you're at a hotel, people will ask you to post a review on booking.com because it helps them with their marketing when a lot of people are reviewing and rating. So reviews are a big part of what it is that we do. And actually nowadays we use reviews quite a lot in our daily life as well. When just as an example, I've got a few things here. Hang on a second. Goodreads, for example, is a common way to find out whether a book that you are looking at buying is popular or good. People rate and review the books that they read on Goodreads, and then you can have a look at the reviews that other people write and get an idea of whether a book is going to be suitable for you to read or not. Google has a review of places. You can go to Google Maps, and there are reviews of different places that you can go around, of hotels, for example, or you can go to sites like Agoda and see what other people have experienced in hotels. So one thing that I just want to point out over here, the Agoda review that I've screenshot over here, this is a review from somebody from the Philippines. And I think that this is important to note. A lot of reviews on these review sites are not of native speakers, not from native speakers from native countries. You get reviews from people in Hong Kong and Singapore and Venezuela, and it's a real mix of people all writing in English. And so this fits in fairly well with our concept of ELF, English as a lingua franca. These reviews have become very, very international, and people are reviewing in English, even if their English isn't very good. People are reviewing in English because that's the way that people are reading these reviews in English. We also get reviews of products. If you want some skincare products, you can go to Amazon and you can get some idea of what other people have experienced with these products. This one over here, for example, this is a skincare product that has got 85% 5 stars. Wow, that's amazing. Look at that, 2% have got 1-star ratings. It must be a very good product, and therefore I'm going to buy it, right? So these kinds of reviews are a big part of what it is that daily life is like for us today. And if you don't feel like reading, don't worry, because there are video reviews you can watch too. If you're thinking of buying a car, for example, you can have a look at what reviewers have thought about it. You can actually watch them driving it, and these kinds of video reviews are interesting if you're watching something that is relevant to your life. So reviews in general nowadays have become relevant and useful. They're freely available. They're everywhere. You've got sites for them. They come up on your Google searches, and they're authentic. These are real communications from real people about real products and places. And therefore, this fits well with what language is being used to do. We're not using the language for anything other than reviewing, giving other people our experiences with the things that we've come across. And as I said, it fits in well with ELF because the people who are reviewing are not your typical native speakers from England. It's everybody in the world is reviewing and submitting these reviews for everybody else to read. So as a language tool, reviews are actually really useful. They're authentic, they're interesting, particularly because students can tap into reviews of products or places or movies or games that are interesting to them. All right, so let me just explain how the course worked. That we divided the course into 2 parts. The first part of the course was text reviews. So students were given opportunities to read other text reviews, have a look at what what constitutes a good text review. And in the second half of the course, we had a look at video reviews. So in the first half of the course, they read a lot of text reviews. And then, of course, the idea was for them to write a text review of their own. And in the second half of the course, they had a look at other people's video reviews, and then they made a video review and uploaded it so that other people could see it. That was basically how the course is outlined. Now, the good thing about this is that it gives students, I'll come back to that. It gives students lots of exposure in the first half of the course to reading and writing. And in the second half of the course, it gives students a lot of exposure to listening and speaking. They're making their own reviews. So that's the speaking part. They're listening to other people's reviews. That's the listening part here. So that covers all 4 skills in this course. How this matches the languaging, which Richard spoke about a little bit earlier. When the students are looking at other people's reviews and creating their own reviews, they are using language for their own communicative goals. They're using language to get things done. They're participating in communities around specific topics and interests. This should be real world use. I'm sorry about, there's an L missing there. That's real world. It really is. Let me just correct that quickly. See, this is what happens when you're so busy using English to do stuff that you don't check what you're doing. Okay. It's authentic. Are you there? One a second, I have to re-share. It's authentic. And the scaffold, which Richard was talking about a little bit earlier, is that before the students create their own review, we're giving them lots of examples of other people's reviews. They're getting exposure to how other people create and write their own reviews or produce video reviews. And then they're using those examples as ways of scaffolding their own reviews that they're creating. All right, so when we look at text reviews, the course is kind of divided across a number of different kinds of reviews. So we looked at place reviews, then we looked at product reviews, we looked at movie reviews, and we looked at game reviews. Game reviews were important because a lot of the students in our classes were really interested in games. And by the end of the course, when the students were preparing to write their own text review, we gave them the choice of producing a place review, a product review, a movie review, or a game review. It was up to them what kind of review they wanted to create. So when we were looking at different reviews, we looked at all of them. So let me just give you an example of the kind of things that we did with the place reviews. This is where we started. So in the lesson on the place reviews, I gave the students, for example, we looked at parks. I gave the students a whole bunch of different parks like Hyde Park and Central Park in London and Vondel Park in the Netherlands. And the students looked at the different kinds of reviews for these parks. You can see that Hyde Park and Vondel Park both got 4.7 as the total reviews, but there's a very, very different number of reviews involved here. Vondel Park only has 43,000, which is a lot, but it's much fewer than Hyde Park. So the students had a look at the different kinds of place reviews and how people were writing their reviews for these different places. And then once we looked at the different kinds of reviews that people had created from all around the world, they produced their own place review. Now, this lesson was fairly simple. You can see that place reviews are usually pretty short. And the students were able to produce their own place review in the class. I got them to think about a place that they know near their house or that they've been to a lot. They rated the place and then wrote a quick review and uploaded it onto Google Maps. And it was extremely affirming for them. They loved it. They loved the fact that they could do that so quickly and that people started looking at their reviews almost immediately. One of the students in the class had 100 likes on her review within a week because she reviewed a place that was really popular and that a lot of people wanted to find out about. So that was really a way of building their confidence in the fact that writing a review is doable, manageable, it's easy to do, and people are interested in what it is that you write about. Part of the process of helping students to develop their skills at writing reviews, we had a look at different kinds of tools. Like what Ronakrit was just speaking about, the different tools that he was using. I also reintroduced some of the tools that he had in his classes, and we looked at some of the other ones. So for example, when you write a positive review, you need to use language that's positive. So we were looking at things like sentiment. And the students were interested, for example, in the difference between cheap and value for money. Cheap often has, I mean, cheap sounds like a good thing, but actually in reviews, people use cheap as a way of saying something bad about a product, that it was cheaply made or it felt cheap, whereas value for money has a different kind of sentiment attached to it, and is usually more positive. Another thing that we looked at was engrams. When you're reviewing, you often use the word different, and what preposition, or what is the word that we use after different? Is it different from, different to, different than? The students explored these and had a look at how other people are using these words. So Ngram was a useful tool for the students to see how the language is used across a broad range of language that's on the internet. We also used word and phrase, which Ong has introduced to you. But in this, for example, in this lesson here, we were having a look at the difference between awesome and what we were doing here, awesome and incredible. Because they kind of mean the same thing, but the way that they're used is different. So in this review that we were looking at here, the reviewer uses both awesome and incredible in the same review. But the way that they're used, those two words are used, is slightly different. And that was a focus of some attention with the students. That's the kind of thing that we were doing with this tool. Okay, let me move on to the video reviews. Once the students had looked at the text reviews, and we'd looked at all the ways of analyzing the text, and they had written their own review, we then moved on to the video reviews, and we did the same thing. We looked at videos for products, video reviews for movies, for games, and for places. And there was a lot of stuff to do here, but the problem, of course, with video reviews is that it's fast, and you can't control the speech. And it's difficult to analyze videos because they happen quite fast. One of the things, of course, is that students can watch them again and again to get the language that they want out of it. But I try to introduce some tools to analyze the videos to help them to see what kind of things people are doing in their videos, and what kind of language is being used, and how adjectives are being used, and so on. So one of the first things I introduced to them was how to extract the transcript from a video. So I don't know if you know how to do this, but if you use some videos, most of the videos, I would say, there's a button down here. And if you click on that button, it says show the transcript, and then the transcript is here. And then the students could extract the transcript and analyze the language that's used in the videos in pretty much the same way as we were doing with the text reviews. We could use word and phrase, we could use translate. The students could pretty much do anything that they wanted with those transcripts as if it was a text. And they come up with a lot of interesting things here as well. One of the things, of course, is that people who create video reviews don't have a lot of the kind of things that we do when we're just talking naturally. The fillers like and ah. A lot of these seem to be scripted. This particular video was very well produced, and the woman who's presenting this video really seemed to know exactly what it was that she was saying. It was a very well scripted presentation, and we spoke about scripting in our course because, of course, the more you script, the less natural you sound. That's a problem that you've got. One of the things that we did in our lesson on movie reviews that the students really enjoyed, we spoke about the fact that if you are doing a movie review, part of what you're going to need to do is talk about plot sequences, like what happens, and how plot sequences might lead to spoilers. So to do this, for example, the students took up a clip from YouTube of a particular movie that they were interested in. They watched the clip, and then they had to summarize what happened in that part of the movie to their partner. So it was narrating a particular sequence of events using the right kinds of tenses and so on. And we looked at how other movie reviewers narrate plot sequences in their reviews. Now, some of the reviewers, so for example, we had a look at this review of this movie here, Parasite, and this review was very, very detailed of what the movie was about and how the movie plays out. And they had a look at how the reviewer gives the sequence of events in the movie and evaluates them and switches between the tenses to talk about the plot and then to talk about what the meaning of that particular part of the plot is about. The students really seem to enjoy that a lot. Once we were done with all of that, the students then made their own video review. And of course, the idea here is that they were just going to do it like wherever they had a chance. So our video reviews might not be as sexy and professional as the ones that we were looking at, but I don't think that was a problem. And the students seemed to have quite a lot of fun making their videos. Some students really reported a lot of trouble with having to redo it. And then some of the students also spoke about the fact that they thought the video review went really well, but when they watched it again later, they were shocked about their accent or about how fast or how slow their speech was. It seemed to be a good opportunity for learning to hear how they actually presented their video reviews. The text reviews, the students uploaded their text reviews to wherever they wanted to. So the movie reviews, for example, they could upload it to Rotten Tomatoes, but the video reviews all went onto YouTube. So the students were actually presenting their reviews to the world. I had a look, obviously, because I was assessing what it was that they'd done, but I'm only one of multiple people who are going to be watching, and I try to encourage the students to watch each other's videos as well, and I think that they did. All right, so back to my dog has decided that he wants to be part of this video too. Back to what Richard was talking about, how this links to the language and curriculum. So we were using the learning strategic part was identifying the characteristics of reviews and what makes a successful or unsuccessful review. So we were looking at the strategic value of reviews and how to produce them. The available tools that we use, I mean, we had a lot, but as I've introduced to you, we had things like YouTube, the YouTube transcription. We were using sentiment analysis. We used word and phrase quite a lot. The resources that we were using here in our course were the review sites like Goodreads or Amazon and YouTube, that they were where the students were uploading their reviews to. And the real world purpose, of course, is to publish a review and let other people read it, and sharing their ideas with other people. And I think that that was a very motivating thing for students, that they have an opinion about something and they could share it, and that other people were interested in what it is that they were sharing. That is a motivating outcome for the students on the course. So that's how the review course played out. I mean, and that's how it's been structured and designed. It's a very clever course because of the fact that you've got all these different skills, reading and writing, listening, speaking, and the students are doing all of this stuff not for the purpose of pleasing me, just because I'm their teacher, but they're actually sending out all these messages to the communities of film watchers or game players who want to know how either how the games work or what people think of the movies. So the usefulness of these reviews goes far, far beyond the classroom. And that's quite a valuable outcome for students, I think. So that's our course. I went quite quickly. Ong went really fast through his, and Ong went really carefully through his, and I blasted through mine. So I hope that I haven't gone too fast, and that there are questions that you've got for me once we're finished with Stuart's section. All right, so now you can have your break, and then we'll start with Stuart's section and the Wikipedia. Thank you.